Here we are, another week, another podcast with yours truly.
And me.
I meant yours truly as both of us, but
Can you do it in the plural?
yours is Truly's. Your Truly's.
Your Truly's.
There you go.
What flavor?
Let's get straight down to business.
To the biz.
I'm changing.
Okay.
I'm changing. I'm gonna be a different person now. I'm gonna
Okay.
talk louder in the mic so that people can hear me. I'm not gonna be embarrassed about what I say anymore.
Careful.
But
Careful. Okay.
I really had a plan to come in with this with more energy.
I
and
feel
I
like
think I'm just reverting back to my old
You're
place.
already like, oh, that seems like a lot.
It does seem like a lot.
Just try it for as long as you can. You just try to be enthusiastic and have some oomph, and I will talk at a regular volume.
I used to
And
have
let's see who breaks first.
so much energy
When you were a kid.
in
Or
high
like,
school.
yeah. I know.
I was
You're not the
bouncing
same
off the
person.
walls.
Like,
I need to go back to my roots.
I think when like
Look at the giant smile on her face, just thinking of me in high school. She's like,
loved you so
the
much.
better days.
No, it's not the better days, but I get when people say like that they've been in a relationship for a long time, like truly have been in a relationship with different people.
Oh yeah.
Like you are not like there is probably less about you that's the same that is the same.
Yeah, probably.
Like, and I'm just happen to be lucky, or at least that I've grown with that change, or I like the
lucky.
two versions. Well, because I like both. Because like thinking back of you in high school, that also worked for that version of me back then. To where now I might look at that kid and be like, what a twerp.
A twerp, you know?
Like, I don't know if I'd
Maryland twerps.
I don't know if I think that guy now would be very fun to me, but I think it's like,
Could you handle it?
I would feel like a mom to that person. Like, I'd be like, you got to figure some shit out first, guy. Like, I'd be like, dude, you got to chill. Like, this is a lot.
I know, isn't that crazy? To where now you're like, can you pick up the energy?
It's not even just like the energy of the personality. Like, I didn't love that side. Well, yes, I did. I like that you would like, you were the center of attention. You were able to like pull people. Like, I always go back to the wrestling meet that we went to once with friends. And it's like, and the way that you went into our student section and just got everyone to start cheers and like you controlled it's like, now you would barely talk to one person. Like,
yeah,
you would never do that. To where it's like what the comedians always talk about. Like, you could be kind of whatever, but because you're the one that's on stage, girls will like that. Like, you're commanding a group of people. You're just commanding in general. That is like very intriguing to me.
I wonder what that is. I wonder if I just don't want to be center of attention anymore.
Yeah, to where before that was all you wanted.
I need to get back to wanting to be center of attention. Everything be about me. What do you feel about that?
I think there's a version of that would be playful and fun.
Well, here's the thing.
But I think I go to talk to.
For this, I feel like I just have to be more entertaining.
Yeah.
It's just, this is entertainment. And
same with me, yeah.
I edit this podcast every week, and it's just not entertaining because I am just ridiculously boring.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I feel like I used to not be boring. And now it's just like, I'm a bore.
Do you think...
And then my mom is here, and the whole time she's here, I'm like, God, I'm boring.
I know.
I've got nothing to say, nothing to bounce off of. I'm just like, I'm so boring.
Or like the people that laugh at what you say or whatever. It's like, it's just because you know me. Like, this would not work in a different crowd of people. Or like, I think of when that we were watching one episode of Kill Tony, and they were talking about this guy who they were making fun of a guy because of how shitty he was at telling stories. And I'm like, oh, that's me. Like, Tuesdays with Stories, how they can make something so minimal a full 20-minute segment.
Oh,
I cannot do that. I am terrible at explaining things.
Well, that's what I think is interesting about this whole thing is they've also been doing it for like 10 years. So a lot of it is just a skill too.
Oh, totally it is. Yeah.
It's like, I think you go back to us doing this for the very first time. Not that we're that much better, but I would hope that we're a little bit better. That I think over time too, you just start to gain the skill and try to be more and more. But I think it's like, for me at least, I need to almost have like 2 different personalities.
Yikes. I feel like anybody in the space would tell you just be you, but yeah. There's also a heightened version of that though, because like take me teaching. I don't talk to people like that.
Are you emceeing?
Or emceeing like Sophia
MC
talking. I did Sophia literally asked you that. Like, would you want Courtney to talk to you like that at home? It's like, no, that's not how normal people talk. But in that environment,
how do they talk again? I forget.
No, but in that environment, if I talked like this, I wouldn't have a job.
Coming to the stage.
Like, I wouldn't have a job if I just talked in my regular voice.
Entry like 135.
You gotta do the whole thing.
Something in my mouth.
You know the full.
I don't know. I don't know the full. I know coming to the stage. Entry 172
is
a mini contemporary solo.
See, there you go.
Chosen. They should have me MC.
Yeah, and that's like you wouldn't talk like that regularly. I think I joked or I told you about it.
Some people do.
Some people do. Yeah, some people do.
Oh my God, like that interaction I had in Tacoma that I told you about.
Well, people talking to each other.
Oh,
and you just overheard
it made me want to puke.
Yeah.
It made me want to puke. This isn't even exaggerated. I can't even get to the level of
girly
fakey that it was, but it was like, I love your hair. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Yeah, I just feel like people should hear that. That's what I would want to hear. So I just want to tell you this. I want to hear
more compliments about myself.
She's like, wow. And they're like, this lady's trying to walk away and she keeps turning around. She's like looking at her, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just in the.
This
is the fakest thing ever.
I have to disconnect in those because it makes me so uncomfortable just seeing other people interact.
Oh, like that. It made me super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that's my whole thing with this is I'm like, I don't want to be embarrassed. I think that's the big difference.
You had no embarrassment back then?
I had no embarrassment.
Yeah.
I just didn't care. Because
you had such confidence back then.
I don't think it was confidence. I think it was just I didn't care. Because I don't not have confidence now. I just have this new thing of like, I don't want to be embarrassed.
Sure.
I don't want people to be like, I don't want people to look at how I'm looking at those ladies like, ugh.
I know. That's not a personality I have. Like, I like listening to Bussin' with the Boys because of just their personality and how they talk. And I feel like most athletes talk like that. And I'm like, that is just not like, how are you so that way? How are you so enthusiastic? And it's not even a fake, but like, they have this lightness about them.
Well, and that's enthusiasm. I don't have.
It's like I can't even say
the word right.
Like I am always just, and it's not that I'm monotone, but I'm not able to get to the fluff and loose.
No, you're not. You are.
I'm really.
Edit the podcast once.
Well, in comparison, sure, but like you throw me up against any of them, I'm the dud.
No, you'd follow suit. I think it's also the environment. Like I bring everybody down.
You don't change, yeah.
So if you're like, I don't know, you're around me mostly. So when I'm around, you're like,
yeah. You
bring it down a notch. But then when you're around people that are like Sophia.
Yeah, okay.
It's like you meet that. Because I think that's kind of where you're naturally at.
Yeah, because she leaves no room for...
No.
Like, she immediately is like, we're playing. Like, there's no seriousness.
Yes. And I think that's where I used to be. It's like, I'm always just trying to have fun and play.
Yes.
And
she's about a silly goose time.
Complete opposite now. It's all about seriousness.
Yeah.
And I just don't. That's boring. Those are the most boring podcasts. Is the serious ones. And I don't want this to be that.
Yeah. I agree.
I don't want to be the boring info people.
Well, and even that, there's a way to do that with some pizzazz.
Yeah.
Like, I think of Huberman. It's a very boring podcast, sure, and it's kind of like you got to be in the mood to listen to it. But he's still talking with a sort of buzz and an energy that you pull into what he's saying. Like, if he was talking to me in school, I think I would stay engaged.
Well, sure, in school, but
when there's a comparison to other podcasts, sure. But like, if he was my teacher, I'm like, oh, you're like selling this to me.
Yeah, but that's like in that context, sure. He's good at that.
Yeah, but that's like, his podcast is supposed to be teaching you something.
Yes, I agree.
So it's like, you compare some of the people that we had in high school, it's like, you hate this as much as I do.
Yeah, for sure.
He's like, you can tell he's passionate about what he's saying.
Yes, but to go as far as like he has any pizzazz is you're straight up out to lunch.
Mm. Yeah. I think that's what also helps with like the visuals of everything. Because if he was maybe just like a more unlikable looking person, that would maybe be hard.
The most secretive way to say he's attractive.
Well,
if he was the most unlikable
well, I'm saying to an average person, like that is something that draws your eye. That's what I always joke about with, like, before I start teaching with the assistants, I'll be like putting my lipstick on or whatever, and I'm like, they will pay attention to me more if I look pretty. Like, that is just the truth. If I look better and more presentable, they will pay attention to me more, because even in their 3-year-old little brains, I'm easy to look at. Like, my visuals make sense to them. Towards like,
yeah,
there's something like demanding about his presence.
Oh yeah, he's also.
It's just like his size. Like his size is like, oh, I should be listening to this person.
Yeah, but I want this to be fun.
Yeah,
that's not fun.
Should we start with my?
Because I'm boring.
Courtney's clips of the day. Courtney's clips of the week.
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna start from ones that you will care about the least to the one that I think I have 3. The last one I think you'll actually find funny. The other ones.
Can you fix your mic? That's so much better.
Like this?
Hey, good job.
Okay.
You're learning. Only 2 years in.
Okay. This one is, I'll also tell you the gist of it first. Says, my sister broke up with her trashy boyfriend and her parents are starting to party, or they're starting to celebrate. The way that the dad is waving his arms is my favorite part.
No, you have to do this after. There's no audio?
I can't have audio.
Oh my gosh. It's really interesting what you find funny, because it's so not funny that I don't know where to go.
I think it's funny the fact that, like, just how terrible that situation, like, to break up with someone and your parents are cheering for your demise. That's hilarious. But then how the dad is like, that is a couple that's been together for so long. That mom and dad.
Oh yeah.
How in sync they are with that, and then just be like, we're gonna be celebrating this is so wild and obnoxious. So they're like, this is us.
I can't tell if you have a really good sense of humor or a really terrible sense of humor, because there's no way I would find that funny and like break it down how you are. So I can't tell if it's like, oh, you have a good sense of humor because you're finding all the little details and breaking it down of what you find funny. Or if it's like, this is not funny, why are you paying so much attention to this?
Yeah.
Philosopher.
Originally, what caught my humor first was how the dad was dancing. The way that he's waving his arms and jumping.
See, that's like, just not funny to me.
Well, I think physical humor, when it's done so silly and by the correct body style, that's more funny to me than any like presented written joke.
Yeah, that's your
like. That's why Chris Lee
kryptonite.
is so funny to me. Like his facial expressions or the weird like body movements that he does. That gets me more than the jokes. Let me just hit it one more time.
Yeah, and see, I'm more like the situation. I'm like, that's just not that funny. The whole situation's not that funny.
Okay.
We have different humor.
This one I could do with you.
See, again, this is not funny.
Oh! Yeah.
Cool turn. Okay, why I think this is funny is this is exactly the kind of the version of person that we were just talking about. Like these guys, I don't think I could hang out with these kind of guys for very long because they would be so in for the party and I would just be like, again, I'm the mom here.
Well, and they're homeless.
Well, not the other guy. This guy is.
The fact that there's one, though.
I mean, sure. This guy, that's what's crazy about it.
You don't want to go hang out on his bicycle?
That's what's crazy about it, though.
You're sitting in the bucket of his bicycle?
This guy, yes, he is homeless. The other guys, like, they are just, like, I'm just picturing the scenario, like, these are just college kids fucking around. Like, they have no care. Like, we would not be engaging in this. I'd be leaving or not talking. Like, they are so who cares that they are having fun in this moment. Just ridiculous.
Yeah, I just don't think that's funny. There's nothing about that that's funny. The dancing's not funny. The situation's not funny.
Okay. Journey or
I think I'm leaning towards you don't have a good sense of humor.
maybe. Okay. Last one.
It's like anything that comes across your feed, you're laughing at.
I don't want a girl. I don't want like a wife because what they say can't go hunt. I'll just go like, yo, I'm going hunt right now. You're not going what to do?
And it's definitely decided you are not funny. Kids are never funny.
What? That's
No.
what I find the most funny.
Yeah, and there you go. that is the nail in the coffin.
Are you kidding me? Kids are not funny? What?
They're
that
not
I don't
funny.
believe. That I think you're pushing it just to challenge me with that one.
They're not. Unless it's like your own kid.
No, because okay, so this is why I think kids are funny though. Is they say
The darndest
adult
things.
No, they say adult things, but they're so tiny and hilarious, and they don't know why it's funny. Like that kid is just trying to be an adult. He's just hearing all these older guys talk about how their girlfriends and wives don't let them go hunting. He's holding a Mountain Dew in full.
Yeah,
like an adult.
I watched it.
That's
You showed me the video. I saw it with both of my eyes, my dominant eye and my non-dominant
oh
eye.
my god. Okay, with this last one, with this girl's, I won't even show you the video. Well, but her visuals is funny too. Would this girl's voice make you laugh at all? Or not laugh. Laugh is a hard thing, but just to be like, okay.
Well, you aggravate me again. Okay, so let's talk about it. If you want to feel better, you have to take a medicine. True. Is it true to take your medicine? I took my medicine one day when I was sick, but I feel better now.
Well, good.
Yes. God healed me up. Hello.
Okay, this is too long. You're not good at this. You came in strong with the Nick Saban one, and since that, I think you set the bar too high.
It's Courtney's clips. It's whatever it is for me.
Okay. I'll just let you know.
You can not like them.
I just don't. I feel very much like I just have to sit here and go, all right, that's another video. Like, are you wanting me to laugh?
No.
You're just wanting to share?
I'm expecting this every time.
Okay, great. We're on the same page then.
Anything I show you or tell you ever, I'm expecting you to be like, like,
hey, that's like very high level relationship right there.
It's like, that's just chalking it up to the game. Am I going to stop sharing it or stop telling you? No, because I have nobody else to share it with. You just have to be the person that listens. It's like when I come home with my this 3-year-old in my class with this, and it was hilarious to me. You don't know this kid. No. You don't know how they said it. Nor even if you were there, would you maybe think it's funny. But who else am I going to tell it to? You have to be the person. The same way, do you think I care about anything to do with vehicles? No. Do you think I care about anything to do with Formula One? No. Do you think I barely care about football and fantasy football? No.
Yeah.
But here I am. Ears open. Listening.
Hey, we're on the same page.
Now, do I think I give way more to the conversation than you do most of the time? Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. You think you do because it's the shit that you're interested in or you think is funny.
What do you mean? No, like I think I give back to your conversations more. Like when you're talking about stuff, like I think I try to somewhat ask the questions that I can understand and engage a little bit.
No.
What?
No. You're crazy.
What do you mean?
I love how you act like you're good at that. No.
I'm not good at it. I think I'm better than what you do.
Well, that's not hard.
Like you are just like.
I mean, I don't know.
Like
We're having a long conversation about this, so I'm
about
giving
how it's.
Yeah, so I'm giving a good amount.
Well, sure. I don't want negative feedback. I'm not saying like, well, and I always say how stupid it is, and I'm talking about it.
Hey, it's feedback.
I guess.
We're even. You know what else I figured out the other day? We got some chocolate. There was one piece left. And I thought in my head, who's going to get that last piece? And I said, I should offer it. Because that would be the nice gentlemanly thing to do. Mm-hmm. Thinking, yeah, but she probably won't want it anyway. Every time it's the last piece, she always lets me have it anyways. Yeah. And then I was like, so I could probably just eat this and it'd be fine.
It would have been fine.
But then, third layer. Here's where we're at. We're not at first, second. We're at third layer relationship now. I thought, yes, but she will appreciate me asking if she wants it because then I'm showing that I'm thinking of her.
And then I screwed it all up by plot twist. I wanted that last piece.
Yeah. But no. That's fine. But the fact that I thought the third layer deep.
Yeah, that's good. But
that's high level.
Were you slightly upset when I said, yeah, I'll have it?
No.
Okay.
Slightly upset. Like I can't go get more chocolate.
Well, yeah, but yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
That's interesting.
You know what I was noticing, going back to the like giving feedback on the conversation, that's why a part of me, like a part of the reason I like talking to Sophia is she likes talking about the kid stuff. Like she engages with that.
Well, yeah.
So like when she talks to me about it, I know, but when she talks to me about it and we're like trading back stories, I'm like, oh, this is what it's like to have someone interested in what you're saying. I'm like, this is a twist. This is a twist. I didn't realize how many people I talked to. I'm not just saying you. How many people I talked to where I'm realizing, oh, they didn't give a shit the whole time. They didn't give a shit the whole time. Got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
No one cares about what I'm saying.
That's a fun realization.
Yeah. I was like, oh, this is what it's like when people actually want to like continue this conversation. I'm not used to this.
Pretty good at noticing that in the moment. That this is not. They don't care. But what I want to start doing with this new personality change is just dig deeper, because that is hilarious.
That's what I feel like I do.
That is so funny that you are holding somebody hostage over a conversation that they don't want to be having.
No, it's terrible, because then what the feedback is I make people feel uncomfortable. Yeah. I've been hearing that since the beginning of our relationship, is that I make people uncomfortable in conversation. So if you would like to join that side with me, I guess you can, but just know that will be the outcome.
I kind of want to, because it just sounds funny now.
But I make people uncomfortable with conversations, yet they keep coming back. So that's interesting. That's interesting.
This is an interesting podcast.
I mean, think about that. The amount of times you tell me that I make people feel uncomfortable, you would think everyone would avoid me. Because there are some people where it's like, they're always going to want to talk about, like the person in the family that wants to talk about like politics or something, like something that's just a touchier subject. Mm-hmm. You try to avoid that person, or you try to avoid those conversations.
Most people do.
Either I'm just so in people's faces it's hard to avoid, or they're coming back. They're okay with it.
Well, but you also are not very good at being the person that does not show interest. So like, you will engage in that even though you don't want to talk about it. Now, with me, no, you shut things down. But with other people, when they're talking about something that like you don't really care about, don't want to talk to, you feel more bad by not giving them much. So you give them the responses and the interest.
So you
make
think
people feel interested.
Heard. Yeah.
So, because you're like engaging in the conversation. So like, you're not the person that's like, oh, I can tell that they're not into this. So then they probably keep coming back, because like, well, they'll listen to me and they're interested in what I have to say.
Got it. So you think they put that at a higher importance than the uncomfortability that I'm going to give them. Like, you think like, she might like push this farther than I wanted to push it, but she'll listen to me.
I think we're talking about two separate things. You don't make people feel uncomfortable in those conversations. It's in other conversations. The conversations that you don't want to be talking about, you're not making them feel uncomfortable because you're engaging in what they want to talk about. But then when you're talking about like, so how was your childhood? That's what you want to know, and that's what's uncomfortable.
Sure. Yeah.
And hey, a lot of people want to talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
You're just, I don't know.
I feel like I make those conversations so... This is what I would think if I was in a conversation with me. I think I make those questions that are normally like, people would probably set it up as like, this is a personal thing, so like if you don't want to share or whatever. I just say it like I just asked, like, what do you like to eat? Like, I say it so like, you shouldn't be weird by me asking this.
I think that's
it almost
way better.
like they're like, well, I guess it's fine to say it.
I think that's better than like doing the whole preface of, you might be uncomfortable about this, and I don't want you to have to say something you don't want to say, and blah, 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 but I want to ask you this question. It's like, okay, well, now everybody's uncomfortable because you had to preface this with...
I set the tone as this should be uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
To where if you just go right to the chase.
To when you're like, so what's your biggest trauma?
Where it's like, was your dad involved in your childhood?
Yeah.
Are you close to your parents?
That's way better, because there's a certain level of like naiveness and innocence to that. That's like,
Yeah.
oh, she just must not know.
But then we also know some people where it's like, holy shit, did they just ask that? From like, am I like that? Because there's some things where I'm like,
It's all about delivery.
Was crazy for you to think like that's appropriate. Yeah. But am I doing that?
It's about the delivery.
Sure.
I think you come with like that curiosity and naiveness. To where, yeah, there's people I mean, everybody knows those people where it's like, holy shit, did you really just say that? There's a certain level of like judgment or gossip or
sure.
There's an undertone of something that feels off. That's what humans are so good at. Like
they can judge very subtle, like the subtleties.
The subtleties, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's obviously person by person too. Like you come across one person, they may think the same thing about you, of you're nosy and like trying to infiltrate, and then somebody else is like, oh, I thought they were just interested in me.
Sure.
Which
so
could have been those
on the
specific
person.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think some things that we would say too, like people would find judgmental and crass, but then it's like we also work with some people where there's one in particular. It's like he just thinks that's hilarious how wild we are. Like when it comes to like how we live and like the food stuff and whatever. It's like,
oh yeah,
he just thinks like we're a circus.
So silly. Yeah.
Yeah. To where it's like he is still thinking we're crazy and that what we're saying is wild, but it's from like an outside. I don't know how to describe it. Like he disagrees with us so strongly, but it's like, I can't believe you think that way, and that's hilarious. Like he gets a kick out of how crazy we are.
Yeah. Isn't that so funny? It's just what circles you're around, whether you're crazy or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Very
Do you
interesting
think
podcast.
I am very different from high school?
No, not really.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You know what I think a big thing with this embarrassment thing for me is? It's you.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Interesting.
Interesting.
It's interesting that that's interesting.
Why?
Because you're a terrible person. You're actually an evil
No,
human.
but like, give me a solid answer, because I feel like this is a
true.
Well, it's true, but it's true because it's how you feel. But I feel like I get either this feedback from people I'm close with, or I've gotten the opposite, where they are like, I can be whoever because, like, she's not gonna think I'm crazy.
Yes.
Like, I'm the one person that would accept them. But then I've also gotten the other way of like, explain from your point of view. And I'll see if it matches what I have gotten in the past.
I think those are probably two different people. Like, one is they feel crazy with what they're saying, and then you come along and you're like, no, you're not crazy. And then the other person is like, I'm confident in what I'm saying, and then you come along and go like, you should be embarrassed. So I think the response from you is different with those two people.
Mm. So, but what is the reasoning? Like, is it because of how I, like, the feedback I'm, like, the interactions we have, or is it just like,
yeah,
the aura that I have that shuns it away?
No, probably just the interactions. Yeah, I think it's just like when I would do stupid stuff that I think is funny, and then you're not laughing, and then you're like, I don't like that. It's like, oh, okay. And then that happens every single day.
Right. Just rewind to the beginning of the podcast when I showed all my clips and show his response.
Yeah, exactly.
Now take that to not just clips, every aspect of what I do.
I know. Isn't that ironic? I'm like, you really make me feel embarrassed. Those are not funny.
And I don't feel embarrassed. It's not an embarrassment to me. It's just a searing judgment.
Yeah.
Of like, I know this is just some things are like, this is just how it's going to be. Like, this is just how I am. This is what I like.
Oh yeah.
Whatever. Like I have learned over time to stop rearranging my life and how I act based off of how you're going to respond to it, because my God, I will just, it was too walking on eggshells.
You become too perfect?
To where, no, to where, because a lot of that is just so based off of your opinion. To where,
no
like,
way.
if it was, but it's like in the reverse of, but if I were to do that, or if you were to do that, I don't like that you do that. Like, we do things in different ways, let's say. I wouldn't want to be the way that you are in that scenario.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, well, I'd hope I wouldn't listen to the judgment that you're giving me, because I wouldn't want to behave that way in this specific scenario. To where in other ways where I'm like, ooh, yeah, I agree with him. Or like, there's a lot of things where, just like a parent, like, you're guiding me in ways where it's like, that's not the best version that you could be. Switch it up. So I think the judgment steers me to correct.
Yeah. Well, it's the same on my side.
You got to be a very, like, I think we work together decently because of this specific, like, this trait in us.
I think, you want to know why I think we work together? We're both psychotic.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we care so much about its standard. I mean, not even a standard, but like,
well, we overthink about everything.
Yeah.
So that's where that's probably why we do this, because there's literally not enough hours in the day for us to talk to each other. And that's sounds like
all of the hours.
And it's not this sucks. It's not a good thing. Because we'll never stop talking to each other, which means we just overthink everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're Jordan Peterson in a way with that stuff. It's like, this topic, we have 15 layers that we're going to diagnose.
Yeah. And it's like, what was the point?
Just for the sake of doing it. That should be the name of the podcast.
Really, what was the point?
Yeah.
It's like this. We had a topic today. Hey, not talking about it. We're talking about something completely else.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's it. It hurts and helps us.
Yeah.
Like,
totally.
that trait hurts and helps us in so many ways. Like,
there's a balance that needs to be had with it.
Yeah. And I think our lives have been very minimal in the sense that it has allowed us so much time to do this.
Well, yeah.
That I think as soon as, like, I am just trusting, like, there will be a filtration process with that. Like, the more that we get busy, or when we have kids and they take our attention to other things, like, the over analyzing will be limited, but I think it's prepping our brain to be hyper aware and question ourselves a lot. Like, I think we say a lot of times, like, how are people not thinking of this enough or caring about this enough? Like,
and it's literally
people live in surface.
They don't have the time.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Like, we have so much time on our hands a lot of the time that what else are we going to do?
Well, and
we
when
either drown ourselves in, entertainment, like social media and YouTube and TV shows and that, or we talk to each other. And luckily for us, like, health is important, that we're kind of sitting around and like, man, maybe we should go on a walk. So then we go on a walk, or we go work out, and we're talking during that. We're talking during the walks. I mean, even that, it's like we are together 24/7.
Yeah.
So it's just, we're in the same vicinity all the time. But
it's like we have the opportunity to break down everything. Like,
yeah.
when we go to teach, like, the whole ride home is just, what was that? What happened? What can we be adjusting? Why do we think that this is happening? Are we seeing a theme in kids nowadays? And what do you think that's from? And diagnosing more of like, okay, well, that connects to this thing that I was listening to. And now I'm seeing a theme with these types of kids, and this is what's happening, and then this is how I'm planning it with like it's so much. Like, what's the word when something happens and they can talk about it afterwards? Like a wrap session. Like we have so much debriefing with everything that we're doing, which again is it helps us and hurts us.
Yeah.
Like we are over analyzing a lot of things, but I think we don't get stuck in a lot of behaviors for very long. Because we try to find solutions pretty quickly. And we're able to find solutions pretty quickly because we're able to chip at it, kind of until it's figured out. Which is a luxury.
Yeah.
For what most people get.
If work becomes more or kids come into the picture, it's like, hey, say goodbye. See you later. See you later, time.
Yeah. But I think through this time, we've practiced...
Because I don't want to be those people either. That it's like so unaware what kids will do of taking time and attention and whatever. It's like, no, we'll be able to talk the same. No, we will not.
No. Well, and I think because even that's like, even that aspect we've talked about, discussed. Yeah. Of like, what do we want that to look like? What do we want communicating in front of our kids to look like? What do we want communicating to our kids to look like? Like we have so much dialogue between us of how we want to set things up that I think for that example of kids, people just get pushed into it and then they see how their spouse is responding to the new situation of parenting and they're like, what is happening? I didn't think you'd be like that. It's like, I know exactly how you're going to be.
Yeah.
For the most part. And like, I can count vice versa. Like, I know how to show up in that situation based off of what your wants are, what your needs are going to be, what we can bring to the table separately and together. Like, I don't think there's going to be a lot of situations where, like, okay, so like I notice when we are in a situation, maybe we're like around other people or we're having people here, there is so much unsaid communication between us because like I know what I can flow within our life knowing what you're probably going to be wanting.
That's just time together.
Like I don't need to have those conversations with you in the mix necessarily because again, like I just know what.
Well, we've also mastered the art of telepathy, so that we should really put out in the open.
No, you have, because you can read my mind.
Yeah, this is a weird new phenomenon that you've been
we were sitting there watching
bringing up lately.
We were sitting in the hotel room. You're laying behind me on the bed. I'm working in the table. And I just turn and look at him and go, be honest with me, can you read my mind? I have this weird fear that this, like, you can read my mind and that you're just keeping it a secret and you've had to keep it a secret from everybody your whole life.
I mean, I am the master of manipulation, apparently. To get somebody so to think that is
because the amount of times where I'm like, I'm thinking about something so off the wall, random, and then you say something about it, or like you start bringing it up, and I'm like, he's in there.
I want you every time that happens to bring it up.
Okay, I will.
Because I want to know how frequent this is. Because I maybe need to start honing a skill.
No.
Yes.
You can't. I will need to not be with you. I'll need to we need to have more time by ourselves then.
Think about that. Think about if you were with somebody that could read your mind. That would be torture.
I literally was thinking about that. I was like, that's why I was almost didn't want to bring it up to you. So I'm like, if this is real, I don't want to know.
How?
Because you've been surviving with it. I mean, that's the only reason where this is like my before I fall asleep. This is what I think about.
Have you been sleeping better since knowing that I can't read your mind?
No, because I don't believe you. This is the back and forth that I go through.
Watching too many sci-fi movies.
I'm thinking, if he can read my mind, I wouldn't want to know because I'd have to leave you. Like, we couldn't stay together if you can read my mind. that would like for how much of a thinker and a daydreamer I am, like you can't be up here.
Isn't that weird though? Like you already think that I maybe can read your mind and you're fine with it, but it's the for sure knowledge would change it.
Yes, because then you would know that I know you can see what's going on up here. To where if I'm like mad at you in my head and I'm just like ripping you apart about everything that you're doing, I wouldn't want, it's like, then would you think like she's purposely thinking of that so that she can get her point across of like she's mad at these things? It's like I am not going to bring these things up to you.
You've thought about this
because
too much.
I'm okay to have it in my own head. To where but this is where I went back and forth because I'm like, okay, but if he has this and he can do this, he clearly has been living with this. So like he's seen those conversations in my head, or he's seen those shitty thoughts or whatever, that he's obviously fine with it. Like he's dealing with it. And then I go back to, oh, that sucks that he's dealing with that. That he like just has to keep this in and like not tell anybody. That would suck that he has to live that way. So then I go, well then.
If only. I wish I had that excuse.
And then I fall asleep and have crazy dreams.
Where I'm just inside your brain, just pulling strings.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you act differently because that may be a possibility? Are you like, oh, I shouldn't think that because maybe he's reading my mind right now?
When I had a couple of days where I'm like, I don't know why, I just like I have this fear that he can do that. I definitely was more aware of what I was thinking. But I'm like, I can't. It's just not. It can't be.
That is so crazy. It's unbelievable.
Do you remember at a very early, like, because I know you do that. Like, are you like daydream? Do you remember at an early age being able to do that?
No.
Okay.
I don't remember anything.
I know.
Period. It's because I'm reading minds all the time that I can't.
You're like, was this my life or that person's life? Yeah, I wonder what that is for you. Like, is that normal for people that they can't remember a lot of old stuff? It's like, we're watching the show Surface. It's like, this is you. Like, I'm describing things that happened in your life. And you're like, that didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's also different, we remember different types of things.
I mean, I remember
like
a lot of things.
The things that stand out to you don't stand out to me.
Yeah. I just feel like I have a catalog of a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I think my memory is just not good.
Yeah.
I just don't have a good memory.
Because, like, it's not even like, okay, when you're younger, I could understand. But, like, it was, like, several years ago. You're like, I don't remember that at all. I'm like, how?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, you know, when we just went to San Diego, there's only a few things that I probably would remember. Unless you were to like, bring it up to me, then it would spark that. But, like, the things that I can remember, or like how for these events, you're like, oh, it's this hotel. I'm like, I don't know. I can't picture the hotel. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what the rooms look like. Crazy. I don't know what the ballrooms look like. I don't know what any of that looks like.
I can remember what the bathrooms in the main lobby would look like.
But you've also been doing this for 10 years.
Sure, but...
And I've done it for 1 year.
Okay, sure. Some of the places, yeah, I've been going to for a long time. Yeah. But that's just I'm good with that stuff.
Yeah,
I'm good with detail-y type of things.
I don't have that.
I wonder if that's a male-female thing. Which you would think it would be the opposite. Like, you would think that males would be able to remember the small details that way. So then they would know, like, oh, this area was where we go hunt. Or, like, this is how I get home. It's like the women don't really leave their place.
Yeah. I don't know if that's small details or not, though. I mean, there's one thing, like, I know where we live way better than you do. So it even could just be the types of things.
Sure.
So like that, like routes and streets and how to navigate that stuff. Literally like navigation.
Yeah.
I'm better at, but
yeah, I wonder.
it's also just, I think, like selective. Like there's the things that I want to remember and there's the things that I don't want to remember. Not that I don't want to remember, but it's like, this isn't important enough of a detail to remember. I mean, the amount of like health and nutrition stuff that is in my head that I can think about,
like recall easily.
and recall, but yeah, I can't tell you what we did in San Diego or Seattle, or I barely remember like us living in Austin for a year. Like I couldn't tell you any of the shit that we did.
What?
It's like we played badminton once.
Yeah.
We grilled out some, went to the movies some. But it's like how you will have like vivid memories of like days.
Yeah, I'll like know like what everyone was wearing.
No.
Who was I texting at the time? What was the temperature out?
Yeah, I have no clue. Like when you say that, like the first year that we came to Florida, how it was like really warm that winter and then it hasn't been. I'm like, it's been the same. I don't know what you're talking about.
Sure.
Like I don't remember that stuff. Yeah, and you'll be like, yeah, and that one 4th of July that we went to here, and like I wore this thing and you wore that, and we sat in this location. I'm like, nah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like I maybe know like, oh yeah, I remember going to there for 4th of July, but I couldn't tell you like where the parking was or where we had to walk to, or yeah, I don't have a memory like that.
Yeah, I can remember things like really far back and like detailed. But I always remember like being able to daydream very vividly. And like I was so in my head with things. Like I enjoyed that. Like I could just sit there and even as a kid like listen to music and just like come up with stories.
Yeah,
And I could do it for forever.
That has gone away for me. I don't really do that anymore. Everything now is just like, oh, maybe I should do this and I got to do this thing, or I don't really daydream anymore. I don't know.
That's like my favorite thing of living.
I guess it's hard to say. Because sometimes you're thinking about something and you're like, oh, maybe it'd be cool if like we did this stuff, and then it kind of trails off.
Yeah.
So maybe there is still some. It just looks different, I guess, than it used to.
Yeah. I don't know what to say about that, but
All right. We can be done.
has it been an hour?
Almost.
Nothing else you want to
50
say?
minutes.
50 minutes.
What, do you want to drag this on for another 10 minutes?
more?
You got something else? You got another stupid video to show us?
See, okay, so do you really watch videos ever?
Yeah.
Like, what would make you laugh? Like, what is a video that makes you laugh?
Comedians talking.
So yours is very much so the opposite of mine.
Yeah, it's like actual jokes or conversation, and somebody says something funny within conversation. I'm not a huge like physical humor person. I don't think that's that funny.
Yeah, maybe I can't connect to people saying something funny. Like Tuesdays of Swords, what they're saying is entertaining, but when I'm laughing is like when Joe is laughing and saying something. And he's like trying to talk through the laughter. Like it's not even what he's saying is funny. It's the fact that he's trying to talk through the laughter that I think is funny. Or like Rogan, anytime he has Duncan on and they wear a costume.
Yeah,
like,
you think that's so funny.
In a costume is funny.
You like silliness.
Yeah.
Yeah, and silly just doesn't. It's like it's funny for a second, and then I'm like, okay, this is dumb. It's like the on the last episode where you showed me the dad. It's like the first like 2. That's like, oh, this is funny, but then another 45 seconds of it, I'm like, this is okay. I get it. Like this is not. It's not funny anymore.
Because then it's like the jig is up. Like I get the joke.
Yeah. It's It's like, we get it. I got it. To where I think I enjoy the more, I don't know, the spontaneous of the conversation and then being able to fit jokes in there and be funny within that. I think that's way more funny because it seems more off the cuff.
See, and that's
where it's like that dad has said those things for 40 years.
Yeah, sure. If it's your dad, it's not funny then, probably.
Well, it's not my dad, and I don't think it's funny.
Yeah.
Like, those are all rehearsed. And it's not unexpected. I think that's the other thing that gets me, is like the unexpected. Like, wow, I would have never thought to say that, but it fits so perfectly or whatever.
Yeah, see, okay, so that makes sense. Like, thinking of being with, like, I guess around our families, because their humor is saying something. Like, it is the words. That's where I don't get into it or I don't understand. Like, it's how you say it that's what's going to make me laugh or not.
But if I were to, like, fake fall over,
no,
you would think that's funny.
No, that's not funny.
Are you kidding me? I do that semi-frequently, and you laugh very hard every time.
Where you fake fall over?
Where I, like, will kind of stumble, and then I just commit to it and fall and flip over. You laugh every time at that.
I'm not laughing for why you think I'm laughing. but what's funny is when you go like this. You pretend to fall back. That's funny to me. But when you fake fall over, that's just like...
Or like the fake death. You always think that's funny.
Because the eyes. When
Where
you
it's
roll
like
your eyes.
something happens and it's like, oh.
That could be funny. It's this. Because there has to be the tiny little nuance to where the words are just like, this is just what it is. It's the whole thing. To where I think it's funny when you do the fall back because of how rigid your neck gets. That's what I think is funny to me. It's like when Carly thinks it's funny when people laugh and there's that little like squeak of the air. It has nothing to do, my thing, it has nothing to do with what was said or why they're laughing. It's the ridiculousness of how your body can do that. That's what's funny. To where, and I think that's also why, so no, it's not just like, oh, if you fall over. Like, it has to be more subtle or a specific kind of silly, which is, I think, why I probably think kids are so funny. Because just the way that they're already so tiny that them just moving around is funny. And then the way that they say things, like, you're saying something so adult, but in a kid voice. Like when I said it. What? Huh? I said, we were doing question of the day, and I said, like, asking them, like, what's your hair color? And I said, like, mine is brown and it has some gray in it. And I went like this, and Emma, this little 2-year-old, just like, huh. She doesn't know that that's funny. It's like she is just being so honest with how she's like, I don't know what's happening here, but like, I'll just make a sound. Like, that's funny to me. Or when a kid just makes a face or like does something weird. Like, you're not trying to do that. Because when a kid's trying to be funny, they are just straight up not funny.
Well, yeah.
It's like kids are funny when they are just living their life and they don't realize how ridiculous they are.
I think it's funny sometimes with kids when they, I don't know. It's hard with kids.
When they're trying to make a joke or like be obnoxiously funny.
No, yeah,
when
that's
they
never
make
funny.
other kids laugh, it's not funny to adults. No. Most of the time.
But like what you said for when kids are saying things like they're an adult, that is never funny to me. Because that has been done a gazillion times. There's no one. It's like, I've seen this a million times. This isn't funny.
But it's a new kid saying a new phrase.
No, it's not. It's a same recreation every time. It's like that. Like the going hunting. It's like, I've seen that type of video a million times. A kid saying something adult-like, that's just not funny to me.
Oh, I think it's so funny. Because like, they're just like a little person.
I think that's what I don't.
Like, they're trying to be something and they don't understand. Or like when they use it out of context. Like, I think the whole scenario it's funny of them being so little and them saying in their little voice, but it's like an adult phrase. That's just funny for me and what it is. But it's funny because they are trying to be an adult.
Yeah, I just don't think that's funny. Because it's just the... I've seen this before. I like the uniqueness. That's why comedy podcasts are perfect for me, because it's a new one every week. And even though there's the same punchline, it's a different situation altogether, or different conversation.
Yeah.
So with that, it's like, oh, another kid acting like an adult. Yeah, I've seen this before.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's good that I'm in the job that I am, because I get to just laugh at them all the time.
Yeah, and it sucks for me.
Well, that age isn't.
The times
like,
that
they gotta be little.
The times that I find kids funny is when they do something unexpected.
Sure.
And it's unexpected and just random, I guess. Like, I can't even draw from certain things because it's just so unique in that moment and situation.
Do you ever find it funny when kids are like, I'm guessing this is no, because it's the opposite of what you're saying, but it's like, it's so spot on the way that they're going to respond. Like, you can plan on it. Like, when I think, like, when I'm watching you teach and you say, like, even if you just say it in a tone, we're like, and then we're going to do this. Like, you didn't say anything, but they're like,
yeah.
It's so funny because, like, you're so predictable. Like, I just said something in a different tone and you're like, it's like, I didn't say anything yet, but you were just like, are going off of my kinge. You're like, I'm in this with you. Like, this is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
I just think kids are so
yeah,
obviously simple and funny.
That needs to be whatever you do in your life. It better be around them.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. That was 10 minutes.
See you later.
See you later.